As you grow in your fitness business, one of the most important decisions that you can make are the people that you bring in to work for your company, to represent you to your clients, and that you trust to get things done so that you, as the owner or the leader or the manager, can work on things that are going to grow the business. So today, I want to teach you how we find our employees, what our interview and hiring process is, and all the things that we look for throughout that process, so that by the time we get to the end of that interview process, we are damn sure that we've got somebody that is the right fit for our company. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to make sure I make clear is that hiring is marketing. Okay, you are marketing the same way you are marketing to a client. The truth is, there's a lot of other opportunities out there. I think it's gone. The times of us being like we are the leverage holder because we have the job is gone. Okay, the truth is, the trainers have a lot of the leverage in these, so it's our job to market the position and be a place that people want to come work. Because again, maybe you don't want to hear this, but times have changed. Gen Z, Gen Alpha can start online businesses. They can be online coaches. That is a very real thing that they can do. Okay? It's not all that uncommon for them to make just enough with an online business for them not to need an in-person job. And even if you disagree and you think like people aren't really making that much money online, people aren't doing that, the story that they are being sold is that. So they think, no matter if it's misguided, even if it's not accurate, they believe that they can do that. So if that's their belief, your job is going to have to compete with that belief. I hope that makes sense. Now, again, I still think in-person jobs are way more lucrative and we can provide better opportunities than any of these online things or selling baseball cards or yard sale items like Gary Vee is telling people. But again, you're competing with their belief about what they could be doing otherwise. Okay, this is a negotiation. When you are hiring, you are negotiating. You know, in negotiation they call it the best alternative to negotiated agreement. Okay, so that's called the BATNA. And so what is their best alternative to the negotiated agreement, which is a job with you? They have those things like, well, maybe I could do an online business. Maybe I could, sell fucking baseball cards online. I don't know. But you need to understand what leverage you have and what leverage they have and try to market a position that they want to work for more than anything else. All right? So here's how we do it. So again, I'm not going to talk about like the exact job ads and stuff like that because it's so individual to every business. But here's the steps that we take. So number one is we try to look for the entirety of the job pool. Depending on how quickly we need to hire, if this is something that's not super urgent, we'll hit just all the channels. So what we do is we search. LinkedIn is really big. So there's a LinkedIn recruiter function. It's a paid service, but you get a huge talent pool of people that are on LinkedIn. Another one is Indeed. So that's another huge pool, especially if it's like a lower level trainer position. A lot of them are not on LinkedIn, which is fine. But Indeed is where you would go because that's pretty much where everyone is looking for jobs these days, to my knowledge. Outside of those traditional forms, we go to Instagram and, maybe not Facebook with trainers, but we go to Instagram. I'm sure there's other platforms. I'm just not on them. So I go to Instagram. I look at, any trainers that I can find in the area, any local gyms. I am not above like reaching out to other gyms, specifically if it's like a local big box gym. I'm probably not going to try to poach somebody from like a local small business, especially somebody that I know. I've got a lot of respect for my competitors in that way. But I am going to, probably reach out to local trainers at the LA Fitness or the big box gyms and YMCA, mostly because I know that they're probably not doing very well. And I do genuinely have a better opportunity for them than those jobs. All right. So those are kind of the three sources that I look for. Outside of that, I do usually ask around. Clients are a really good resource for that. Like, hey, we're looking to train. Is there somebody that you've worked with or you friends have worked with that would be a great fit for the company? I ask my employees and, really just source like, hey, do you know anybody that might be a good fit for us? And I do offer a referral fee. The truth is, just like acquiring a new client, there is a cost to acquiring new employees. If somebody refers somebody that I hire, I have no problem paying them $500. So that's kind of what I do. Especially when I'm doing cold outreach on LinkedIn or Indeed, I'll reach out to everybody that's a trainer that I come across, even if they have a job, and I'll send them like, hey, my company's hiring. This is the basics of the position. And at the end, I'll be like, are you interested? And if you're not interested, I have a referral fee. I'll send you $500 if you refer somebody that does sign up. So, that's one way that you can accelerate, results that you get. We've gotten some good applicants through that with people that are like, I'm actually really happy, but I've got this former coworker that might be a really good fit. So those are kind of the sources of how we start to procure applicants for positions. I'll be honest, we've gotten some of our best applicants from our cold outreach, where we're just like, hey, we have this opportunity. This is the basics of it. We want to know if you're interested. More so than people applying for open job opportunities. All right. So once they come in, how do we, move forward with them? So one, a lot of times we use like an organized pipeline system. So everybody that applies, we'll put them into a pipeline. When they move through the different stages, we'll kind of move them through just so we have a track record of like, if we have to go back and look at applicants that have come through before, I can look back and see like, all right, where did we leave off with this person? What stage do they reach? Usually if they reach a final stage and we drop them, it's either because they showed us they're not a good fit or we had to make a tough decision and they were a close second. So depending on how much you're hiring, like with 8 locations, we're doing a lot more hiring. We have a lot more applicants that we deal with. So we need a pipeline system for that. All right. But if you don't, just keep track of it somehow. Keep a document of resumes. That is important. Like what I could say is like keep a log of a file of all the resumes that you've gotten, because you're going to want to remember names that stuck out to you or circle back to in the end. All right. What is the first step of our hiring process? So the first step of our hiring process is a phone screen, or what we've been doing more lately is a video screen. So a video submission screen. So we either, depending on, again, how busy we are or how quickly we want to move things along, we'll book a 10 to 15 minute phone call with an applicant. And the whole concept of this is, can they hold a conversation? Do they sound personable? Are they a fit for the general like basics of the job? We're not asking kind of interview questions. We're really just asking like, what made you want to reach out? What do you think makes you a good trainer? And, just getting a feel for how they communicate really well. All right. The other way we've done this is through a video screen. So with video screen, instead of scheduling a phone call and hoping that they show or whatever, we just send them 3 questions. It's usually, what's your background certification? What made you want to apply for this job? What do you think makes you a great trainer or coach? And we ask them to submit that. And it's really same idea. We just want to see, can they present themselves? Do they have skills on camera? Do they have communication skills, or are they super awkward? I'll be honest, we've gotten some fucking weird videos. Like some crazy videos, like some is just straight up workout videos of people like lifting in the gym. Sometimes it's like shirtless videos of them flexing in the mirror, like super weird stuff. But it's a good screen. That's what it's for. If they get past that, meaning you think that they're qualified, you think that they're a good fit, the next step is the in-person interview. Now, I have a caveat here. And let me tell you my background. I went to school for criminal justice, where the interview process was this like really rigorous thing. It was very high on professionalism and how you dressed and how like serious you were coming in, were your shoes shined, was your shirt pressed, all of that. So that was my background coming in. That was kind of like what I was looking for. And I'll be honest, I have been let down many times, because the truth is, a lot of trainers, one, never went to college, which is fine. Number 2, they went to college, but maybe never went through like the professionalism courses that I went through about interviewing and stuff like that. So I have become a lot more lenient and given much more of the benefit of the doubt when it comes to how professional somebody is when they come in for that first interview. All right. And maybe I'm in the wrong here, but I believe that a lot of people just don't know what they don't know. They never went through a professional, like professionalism class. They were never taught how to dress for a fitness job interview, which isn't a normal thing, right? So I would encourage you to extend a little bit of grace, and here's how I've done that. If somebody makes it through the phone screen, I send a document to them and I say, this is our interview process. This is what you should expect, and this is what we expect of somebody that we hire. And it has all the things that they like. This is how you should dress for a fitness job interview. So we say like fitness formal. So it's like a polo, khakis, or like nice athleisure kind of pants, nothing wrinkled, nothing like workout attire. We tell them when they should show up. We say, we expect you to be here 5 minutes before your interview time. If you're late, if you're on time, you're late. So we tell them like, you should plan for traffic. You should plan for car troubles. I'm essentially trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, give them every chance to succeed, because if they show up and they look like shit or they're late and I have given them the chance, there is no seed of doubt that they just didn't care and they weren't a good fit. But again, maybe I'm just being too soft. Maybe I'm just, again, not being strict enough about standards. But I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that if they show up not dressed ultra professionally, that it's just because they were never taught any differently, and they were never shown by somebody, a parent or a mentor or a teacher or anything, how they should handle themselves. And that doesn't mean they can't learn or be an amazing coach. So that's my take on that. Take it or leave it. Maybe you want to be ultra rigid and like kick somebody out the door if they don't have their fucking pants ironed. That's on you. But when they come in, we have sent them all of the documentation that this is what we look for. This is how you can win. This is how you can get the job. We also do a little bit of like, the document includes like, these are people that have done really well for us. There's growth opportunities here. These are, the pay ranges that you can grow to. So we try to dress it up like we are marketing the job. Like I said, hiring is marketing. In the interview process, the most important thing is you ask like logistical questions. Do you have a car? Do you have reliable transportation? Your previous experience? But then ask like real on-the-job questions. Like, what would you do in these scenarios? What makes you a good coach? Give me examples of times that you've shown up as, in this coaching environment and proven that you're a good coach. But the most important questions you can ask are around your core values. So questions like, our core values, one of them is driven by purpose. And what that means is, we look for people that are genuinely passionate about the work. And so we say like, how do you show that you are genuinely passionate about the work? Essentially that you would be doing this job even if you weren't being paid. That's kind of the way we frame it. And so we want to hear like, oh my God, I train my friends for free. I hang out in the gym just hoping that I can work with people. Like, I just love this. I spend all my time reading and studying. You want to frame the majority of your interview around the core values that you look for in your business. You have to have them and you have to interview for them. The last section of this interview process is kind of the disqualifying questions. So I like questions like, hey, let's say we hired you and 6 months into this job, you were really miserable, you were really unhappy, and you decided to quit. What could cause you to come to that decision? And they're going to tell you like, oh, well, I don't want to be coaching 6 months from now. Or if I have split days, 2 days a week, and there's no growth opportunity, then I'd be really unhappy. Or if I couldn't, if I had to work every Saturday, like, you're going to get what is going to make them unhappy on the job. And then you can, one, determine if it's a realistic role for them. But you can also help structure how you're going to work with them going forward. So that's the interview portion. This is the most important part. You want to have, allocate like 30 minutes at least to this. Really get a sense of like, logistically, do they want this job? Core value wise, and then what would make them really unhappy, or what are the reasons that you would quit in the future? So that's, probably the most important aspect of this. So make sure your questions are good and your interview skills are really good. All right. The next stage, and I say these are stages. These can be kind of interwoven with like the timeline, but we essentially have them come in for a practical or shadowing session. It's generally 2 hours. So you set up a time for them to go through 2 sessions, and we've sent them a document about like what we expect during this time. We don't expect them to coach. We just want to see their energy on the floor. Do they talk to people? Are they outgoing? Make sure you don't sit down and like sit in the corner by yourself. The most important thing that we look for in these is, are they asking good questions? And are they engaged, like genuinely interested and excited about what we're doing? Or do they come in, maybe they've got an ego or super arrogant and talk about all the things that they would do differently or they used to do? Or do they shoot the shit too much with the trainer and like, is it not genuine that they are here because they love training clients? You can pick those things up in this shadow practical session. All right. Again, you're not asking them to coach. I don't think that's appropriate to like go and coach. I think it is appropriate to see if they can ask the trainer like, hey, do you mind if I like do something with them real quick, or talk to a client and give like little coaching cues? Again, if they came in and tried to like jump in and coach, it would be kind of weird. Okay. So just make clear like what you expect of them. And in that, since I'm not in the sessions, I have my coaches that are, shadowing with them fill out a form about, were they on time, were they professional? Was this somebody that you would want to work with every single day? So that's kind of how we handle that. The other part of this that again overlaps, we send them a DISC assessment. So we're big on the DISC assessment along with other things, but we send them a DISC, which is a behavioral profile assessment that, I don't want to say we use this to make hiring decisions, but we do use this to understand, are they going to be a good fit in our culture? Are they going to be naturally inclined or naturally predisposed to being good in this role? Because every role, a different DISC profile would probably be better. But as a coach, as sales, marketing, whatever, we have them do a DISC, and we kind of review that report. Another important element of this is when we hire somebody, we generally have them work. We have a DISC consultant that we generally have them work with, and it provides more context into leadership. He knows my leadership style. He knows Jeff's, who's my operator. So this consultant can say, hey, based on your profile, this is how you're going to work really well with Devin and Jeff. This is how you're going to struggle in this role. This is where you may struggle. So it's a really great perk to working in my company, is we give them a one-on-one with this consultant that helps them set them up for success. So that's kind of that screening plus the DISC profile section. And I'll be honest, if they get to this stage, we're usually like really pretty happy with who they are, and we're pretty set that we're going to hire them as long as they don't botch something. But it would not be a part of the interview process if we did not collect references. Doing a reference check is incredibly, incredibly important. You could do this anytime throughout the process, but we have them present people to have us call as a reference. And I generally ask for a former client, if they're a coach, a former client, a former boss, and a former coworker. Or multiple of each, but minimum 3 total, 1 of each, and bias towards more former coworkers or bosses. And we do a phone call. We just ask how they were, how they showed up in tough times, stuff like that. Really, really important is to get a reference check and to ask the right questions there too. Sometimes, we ask different questions based on what we've identified with them in the interview process, but it's generally like we try to set them up to be honest with the questions that we ask. So once we've gone through all of that, we've done a reference check, we have done a DISC assessment. It's not an egregious DISC mismatch. And again, we could talk, that's a whole other thing that we could talk about on another episode. The last thing is the offer. And we try to make a little bit of a presentation around this. We like to send them a box with like some apparel, shaker cup, some goodies from the gym to build a little bit of like a presentation for the offer. Along with the offer, we'll send the vision for the company. We'll usually I try to send like a little video message from certain employees saying like they're really excited to have the chance to work with you. We try to build a little bit of like pomp and circumstance around the job offers that we extend. We think it goes a long way from a culture standpoint, build some anticipation and excitement when new people join the company. So that's kind of how we structure the offer. The offer should include everything, not only just the responsibilities, the pay, the benefits, anything else you might offer, healthcare, paid time off, continuous education, stuff like that. But if you go through that whole process and you take them through all those stages, not only does that friction create more buy-in, because if they can get through that, they're clearly more bought in. But you should have smoked out any red flags. You should have identified anything that's not a good fit, and you should be set up to hire your next great employee. And the word of warning is skipping these steps. Skipping any of these steps sets you up for making a bad hiring decision, which can be toxic for your gym. Members will leave and they will be very unhappy, and it's just gonna like be a huge pain in the ass. So the old adage is still important. Hire slow, fire fast. Okay, so make sure you're going through the steps. Bring in an A player, and you'll watch your business grow when you have the right team in place.